Today we're going to focus on multi-step equations that have variables on both sides of the equal sign. Now, before I get into what these examples look like, I want to show you this little trick that Miss Shook and I found. Now, if you're an in-person kiddo, you will receive a copy of this on your in-person day next week, whether it's Monday or Wednesday. If you're a remote kiddo, this is linked in on your, I believe it's Tuesday assignment, and you're able to copy it, paste it, print it, do whatever you need to do. So it's a little way to remember how to solve the equation. It's don't call me after midnight. So step 1, distribute if you can. Step 2, combine like terms. Step 3, move your variables together. Step 4, add, subtract. Step 5, undo multiplying and dividing. So we'll see all of these steps as we go through these problems. I just wanted to go ahead and give you a heads up about what this was. So if we look at this first example, -3 plus 5a equals 4a minus 10. Well, my variables are on both sides of my equal sign. When I'm solving a problem like this, I always get my variables together first. I don't care about the regular numbers. I need all my variables together. And it's always best to move the smaller variable, whether it's a smaller positive number or like on another one, we'll move a negative number because negatives are smaller. So to undo positive 4a, you do it just like you do regular numbers. The opposite of positive 4a is minus 4a. So we're going to subtract 4a on both sides. Rewrite everything else. So -3. I have 5a minus 4a. 5 minus 4 is positive 1, and it has an a with it, equals, those 4a's cancel out, and I'm left with minus 10. So now I'm down to a two-step equation. 1a is what I'm going to circle. That's my couple. How do you kick out minus 3? What's the opposite of subtracting 3? We're going to add 3. Sorry, that should be pink, so you can see all the steps. We're going to add 3. -3 and positive 3 cancel out. I'm left with 1a equals -10 plus 3 will give me -7. Now, all that I have left to do is to undo 1 times a. How do you undo multiplying? You're going to divide. So we divide by 1, and I'm left with a equals -7. Example number 2. -16 plus 3n equals -8 minus 5n. Like we talked about on the first one, we get our variables together first. So I'm looking, I have a positive 3 and I have a -5. -5 is my smaller variable. So how do I undo minus 5n? I'm going to add 5n and move it across the equal sign. Now, it is very important when you're doing these to keep things very neat and lined up, or you're going to get yourself messed up. So we can cross out those 5n's because they canceled out, and I'm left with -16. 3 plus 5 will give me 8n equals, and I can bring down my -8. I'm now at a two-step equation. So I circle my 8n. That's my couple. How do I kick out -16, or what's the opposite of -16? That is adding 16 to both sides. So I have 8n equals -8 plus 16 will give me +8. How do you break up 8 times n? You're going to divide by 8 on both sides. Those cancel, and n equals 1. Okay. We have 2 more. We're going to go through 4 examples today before you get to practice a few. On this one, example 3, I have 3n minus 15 equals 7n plus n. Now, our first thing we need to do is get all our variables together. But I have 2 variables right here that are side by side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add these 2 together. Well, remember, when there's nothing in front of this variable right here, there's always an imaginary 1. So 7n plus 1n will give me 8n. And we're going to rewrite everything else. So 3n minus 15 equals 8n. At this point, it is kind of a two-step equation, but it looks a little different from any that we're used to seeing. I still have variables on both sides of my equal sign, so I need to get them together. I don't want to move 8 because that would leave nothing on this side, so I need to move this 3n. What is the opposite of positive 3n? Minus 3n. So we're going to subtract 3n on both sides. 3n minus 3n cancels out. I'm left with negative 15 equals 8n minus 3n is 5n. So negative 15 equals 5n. How do you undo 5 times n? We're going to divide by 5. 5 divided by 5 cancels out, so we have n. Negative 15 divided by 5 is negative 3. So our answer is negative 3 equals n. And our last example today is 4n minus 1 equals negative 2n plus 23. So again, I need to focus on my variables first. How can I get these two variables together? Which one's smaller, 4 or negative 2? Negative 2. So how do you undo negative 2n, or what's the opposite of negative 2n? Adding 2n to both sides. So 4n plus 2n is 6n minus 1 equals negative 2 and positive 2 cancel out. And I'm left with a positive 23 on the right-hand side. Now, this is a two-step equation like we're used to seeing. Circle my 6n, it's my couple. What's the opposite of minus 1, or how do you kick out subtracting 1? You're going to add 1 to both sides. Negative 1, positive 1 cancel. So 6n equals 24. How do you undo 6 times n? You divide by 6 on both sides. So n equals positive 4. Now, keep in mind, equations are really easy to double check yourselves. Once you get this answer, you can always plug it back into your equation and say 4 times 4 minus 1 and negative 2 times 4 plus 23. And if you get the same answer on both sides, you know your answer has to be correct. So equations, you can always plug in and double check your answers.